Okay, Rich, so this is the year that we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Atlanta Sports Awards, and there have been so many Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Bobby Cox is one of them, Warwick Dunn, one of them yourself in 2023. As a previous Lifetime Achievement Award winner, what does it mean to you to be a part of a group like that?
I don't belong in the group, so I think the group, the cool thing about that group of award winners is they all come from different places, right? Some were athletes, some were managers or coaches, some were citizens doing the right thing, some were in the business of sports. So I like the fact that they all come from different places. That's kind of a little bit of what Atlanta is. We've kind of had this idea that we can be this big, but we can do things that are this big. And I think that's what that award probably symbolizes.
Throughout your professional career, you've worn many hats throughout the years. If you were going to give some advice to a young professional asking you, hey, how do I be successful in sports? What would you say?
Be good at what you do every day, and you will get noticed, and you will succeed. Don't get caught up in the task you're working on. Get caught up in the object of doing really well. And then don't ever look at opportunities and say, that's not really what I want to do, so I'll just pass that. I think when opportunities knock, you open the door. I got the opportunity as a young lawyer to work on a stadium lease. I told the owner, I'm not sure I'm qualified to do this. I ended up doing it, and I ended up doing 2 stadium deals and probably a large part of my career based on doing that work that I didn't think I should be doing. So to me, that's my one takeaway is when opportunities show themselves, take them. Don't just look at it and say, oh, that's not exactly what I want to be doing in 15 years. You wait and see.
What did you learn from some of those moments in your career where you thought, okay, this might not be what I thought I was going to do. However, it opened all those doors like you're talking about?
I think you, number one, take pride in yourself and what you can do. Mm-hmm. But don't ever hesitate to, reach over and ask for help. I think the beauty of practicing law for me was we were in a small firm. There were 7 of us, 8 of us when we started. There were 15 as we moved up. And I think what benefited me the most was I always treated that door as open, and I always went in and asked for help. I never wanted just to say this was my project. And I think that really helped me when I got to be in the football world, because all of a sudden, you're making draft picks. And some people want to make draft picks that have their name on it.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a draft pick that had our name on it because I always felt like those people, the scouts, knew better than I. So I just think that sometimes don't let your ego get in the way.
I think that's very good advice. And I think that when you're a young professional, you see how much the sports industry is changing. It's changing probably as we're sitting here today. You and I have talked about this in the past. Over your tenure, of all the things that you've done, what are 3 of the things that stand out to you in the way that this industry has changed?
Okay, I would say initially, when I was in the sports world and my dad was a football coach and I was kind of growing up, it was all about alumni at USC or fan base at Tampa. Did you win or lose? That was it. That really was the business of sports. It evolved into a television product that was bigger than life, known as the NFL, just a bigger television product, very impactful, to where it is today, which is, you're in a stadium, 70,000 seat stadium, full every Sunday, full every Saturday when there's a soccer match, full every, we're now in the event business in the sports world that I never saw that coming. When we were in Tampa Stadium, when my dad was coaching, was used 10 days a year. That was for the games. Today, this building will be going full go at least 320 days, at least. And that's way different. And that's a credit to the people that had the vision that said, hey, listen, if we're going to make these investments, and we're going to make investments in stadium or whatever infrastructure, wherever it may be, let's make sure that we get full utilization of it for the benefit of the city and the state. And that's what we've done. That's where sports has really changed.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium has been an example all over the world in how you run a building, an organization, a franchise, whatever you want to frame it as, Why is it important to have this building in the city of Atlanta, and what does it do for the city?
Well, I think the city part of it, so when you look at today and you look at Atlanta, people are disappointed at times on, where's the team? Where's your soccer team? Where's your football team? And God knows that's number one to them. But I think when you look at Truist Park, you look at State Farm, you look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think you see three environments, because they're environments that are impacting our city and our county and our state and our metro in incredibly positive ways. And I like that a lot. That part of it, the Battery in Truist Park, State Farm, and I don't know, do they have 170 events? And then Mercedes-Benz Stadium, fantastic.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium also brings world-class events to this building. Was that the vision whenever it was created?
Yeah, so I think when I go back to talking about the stadium, I go back to the Sports Council. I go back to Sam Williams at the chamber. I go back to having those meetings and saying, listen, if we can build this new stadium, then our object would be to partner with the Sports Council and bring as many big events as we possibly could. The Dome had done incredibly well. The Dome was the host of an Olympics. So the Georgia Dome had been very successful. Our idea was you could build a bigger and better stadium, and that was our plan, but it needed partnership. And I think the way the city, the state, the Sports Council all gets around that round table, that gets us the SEC championship, which is coming up. That gets us FIFA World Cup. That gets us Super Bowls. We'll have 2 Super Bowls in 10 years. That doesn't happen unless everybody around that table contributes.
The Arthur and Blank Family Foundation and AMBSE recently donated $50 million, a scholarship commitment to HBCU students. Why is it important to you and the organization to give back in that way?
So the giving back, it's funny. I've been here a long time. I've been here 20 plus years with Arthur. I always felt like I was a give back person. I give back. I go and I work at a park, or I do something. Then when I saw what Arthur does for the community, he's given away $1.5 billion plus from his family foundation, the great majority of that in Atlanta, for all different causes. And the HBCU grant for the scholarships is another example of a creative grant that gives kids that are going to drown in debt and not going to be able to graduate because of it an opportunity to graduate. Fantastic gift. It is so impactful. And the thing that I am impressed by Arthur in doing it is the impact of that. He will not feel, we will not. It's 40 years from now when those graduates that wouldn't have graduated have made it through, are out doing something, and they're doing the right thing, and guess what? They'll probably give back at that point. So to me, grants like that just are incredible. So they're very inspiring. We try to make sure that in all of our young associates that we celebrate that moment, just so that they get the feel, because they did contribute to that.
And that's just one example of so many that you guys have contributed to the community. It's not just because you live in Atlanta. Why is it important to pour into this community?
Well, Arthur always said, we have to start with, the people that supported us, we need to support them. So I think that's where it starts. He gives a lot in Montana, which is where his ranches are. Obviously, he gives a lot in Atlanta, but he gives a lot elsewhere. But when you think about all the different, you mentioned the fact it's not just the HBCUs. Well, when you drive up 85 and you look at the Arthur and Blank Children's Hospital, that gift and what that hospital means to our region as being, it's not best in class, it's clearly best in class, is just very impactful.
Let's talk about the NWSL team. A lot of excitement generated about that announcement. Why is it important to invest in that right now?
So I think NWSL, for us, we've been talking about it. We've been talking to them about it for 2-3 years. We've worked on this project a lot. There's been one person that's been constantly pushing on this project a lot, and that's the boss, that's Arthur. And we felt like if you want to be the epicenter of soccer in North America, which we do, not just with Atlanta United playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but with the U.S. Soccer moving its headquarters down south of the airport, Arthur's gift being the driver of that location shift, we want to be where soccer comes to play in North America. You can't do that if you don't have an NWSL team in our mind. We needed a franchise. We've worked on this. It makes perfect sense. It fits in what we can do. We've got a really cool plan to be able to use the stadium. Again, the reason back almost to our Atlanta United thoughts, which were, if you take the franchise and put it in a suburb, then you've removed it from the core of the city. We like the core of the city. That's why the stadium is here. So we're looking forward to it.
What has the reaction been like whenever you hear people talking about the NWSL now coming to Atlanta?
Well, the reaction, you can look at it in many different ways. I'm somewhat of a business person, so I look at it as a business person. Our deposits for those kind of founding members, if you will, are substantially higher than Atlanta United's at the same time.
Wow.
In the process. That just shows you a little bit of the reaction. So we got plenty of work to do. When we made the agreement with them, we said, they talked about wanting to go, do you want to go in 27? We wanted to go in 28 because just like United, you want to take enough time to make sure that you roll it out in the right way, that you engage in the community in the right way, and that you launch it in the right way.
It's not just Arthur, you as well. You've been very passionate about pouring into girls and women's sports over the last couple of years as the CEO of AMBSE. Why? Why is that important?
So for me, the girls flag football has been an important kind of project for us and for me. And the reason it was important for us is because girls have opportunities to play many sports, but in the team sports, they don't have all the opportunities that maybe boys have. And this is a perfect sport that you can roll out. It doesn't require a personal individual coach. It doesn't require any of the things that tend to exclude kids. It includes kids. So our idea was, I grew up as a flag football player. My dad said, hey, let's wait and play tackle football when we get to 9th grade. So I'd always played flag football. So to me, perfect place to be. What I give credit to is not just us and AMBSE and the Amanda Dinkle and Chris Millman, the people that have been on the ground for us, but I give credit to the state and the GHSA because they leaned into it. And we're 300 something schools, and it's crazy, and that's great. I love that.
What excites you about the growth of flag? You talk about it with the GHSA, but now it's being a part of the Olympic conversation and far beyond that as well.
Fandom. I'm excited about fandom. I'm excited about the fact that people get a chance to play the sport, which means they become a fan of the sport, which is good for the sport long term. I just remember 15 years ago when we were having a lot of discussions about, hey, what's the future of the sport? Are you worried about this? Are you worried about that? I like where the sport is now, and a health and safety standpoint, I think we've made great strides. I think we still have ways to go, but we've made great strides. And now, with an entry point where more youth can play the sport, I feel good about where the sport can be in 20, 30, 40 years.
You talk about 20, 30, 40 years. If you rewind the last 10 years, we've seen a major change in the way that women's sports is growing and the way that it's viewed nationally and worldwide. What have you noticed about the change?
I think we all talked about, for a long time, whether it's WNBA, whatever it may have been, it was always, someday that's going to be something. And that was always the language we used. I don't think we say that anymore. I think we say now, this is something. And I think that's a big change. That's a big mindset change. That's a big mindset change for attendance. That's TV audience. That's sponsorship. That's making the business bigger, which is great, but it also attracts people, which is better.
Fast forward to 2028, you haven't named the team, but whatever the name of the NWSL team is, they're going to be here inside this building. What do you anticipate looking around and seeing?
I think the thing that we want to make in that opening is the same thing we wanted to make in Atlanta United, is the same thing we want to make in the SEC Championship, which is when you come into the building, you say, oh, this is their stadium. They built it for them. And that's what we want the feel of it to be, and that's what we want the energy to be. We don't want it to be the building that, oh, they're playing in the Falcons building, because we never wanted that for Atlanta United. And that is the uniqueness of the design of the building. But I want those people to come into that first match and say, wow, they did all this for this franchise, we're all in.
You mentioned fandom earlier and a Super Bowl. The Falcons after this season seem further away from that goal that you've talked about for a while and getting back to that space. How do you rectify that?
Hard. It's not easy to rectify, right? It's because you're always chasing that goal, right? You never want to not chase the goal of we're going to be better, we're going to win. But you also got to deal with the facts of each individual season moment has its challenges, whether it's injury, whether it's bad break, whatever it may be. And you have to deal with those, and then you have to go back and say, how are we, when the off season comes, how are we going to put ourselves back on that track to deal with what the future may hold? I think that's the way I've kind of always looked at it. I don't think there is another way for us to look at it. The words disappointed, all that applies, but more than anything, it's what are we going to do?
So this is a wait until the end of the season to reevaluate.
For me, I don't know of it any other way. I think you got to try to win. You got to win games. If you asked every player on our team tomorrow, hey, tell us about the season, I guarantee you they're going to say, let me focus on Sunday, because that's what this league requires, and that's what you have to do.
How would you evaluate the performance of Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot?
I would never get into that evaluation during the season. Don't think it's appropriate.
Okay, last question for you.
Yes.
Falcons related, but I think you can answer it. What would your message to the fans be right now?
I hear you, we feel you, and I promise you we are doing everything we can to try to win football games, and that's what you want us to do, and that's what we'll do.